Okay, so news. The Mad Queen brought a cat to my room. I have no idea why. It's 5 in the morning. I just woke up and I'm trying to do a bit of writing, and then she walks in. Hey, I'm just an idiot who likes to read books. The Mad Queen is right there and she is relaxing. Thank heaven, because today she's actually not bothering me and tearing down my green screen. Because the other day she tore down the green screen, which made filming extremely difficult, okay? So basically today we are talking about Jade City. After finishing Rage of Dragons, I read this book, and two books by diverse authors. It's a beautiful summer. And because I loved both books, this makes me happy, man. This really makes me happy. This is what I mean when I'm talking about diversity. But it also makes me sad because the epic fantasy genre is full of sexism, okay? It's full of blatant sexism, and the only problem I can think of for this book is that the author, Rhonda Lee, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, or I'll correct myself, whatever. So basically the author is a woman, okay? And I assumed, because you see, why is the epic fantasy genre sexist? The reason why there is rampant sexism is, first of all, a lot of the authors who write are men. This means they don't really have a perception of, women, at least a good perception of women. And this creates a problem, okay? With the exception of few authors, this really creates a problem where the perspective is mostly just male dominated. And this means whenever there is a female who writes epic fantasy, it's really important to show otherwise. And in this particular story, Jade City, we have one female POV character, and a lot of the psychological elements that happen in the story are mostly male, okay? We have in-depth explorations of, male ego and toxic, perceptions of men, okay? And so generally speaking, this story is macho man, okay? It's tough guy, it's a commando, okay? Duel me because fuck you. It's that kind of a story. So I expected there would be more representation of women, right? But because she's a female epic fantasy author, because combining the reality that epic fantasy is mostly just male dominated and the fact that she's a female, it puts an emphasis that she needs to establish the ground, right? She needs to fix the problem, but she does not. Moving that aside, is this book bad? No. That's the only problem that I have found. And look, the only problem that I have found has nothing to do with the quality of the writing. This is really important because it means that I think that most of the writing is good. So that was the only negative. Let's get out of the way. We will structure this into non-spoiler, then spoiler. In the non-spoiler, I'll give my overall, basically overall opinion, right, I suppose. And then in the spoiler section, I'll just mention stuff that I really loved, and then I'll give concrete examples from the story. So let's delve into this particular review, Jade City by Rhonda Lee. Okay, let's go. I absolutely have to say that I love the character of Lan, okay? Lan is, his wife basically left him for another dude, okay? And because she left him for this other dude, now his ego has been damaged. His image has been damaged. So other men don't really think highly of this guy because, his wife left him for another guy. But it creates a problem for him because he is the head of this second largest family. There are two large families, the Ait, who run the mountain, which is this gang, the mountain, and then, there's the Cowell family, okay? The Cowell family, led by the lead pillar, the lead pillar is basically, in this case, Lan, is generally speaking a very important figure, right? Yeah, and he needs to show power and dominance. And throughout the story, we see that he gets progressively and progressively weaker until something major happens, okay? So I really love that, the characters. You have to generally understand them psychologically in order to actually appreciate how well written they are. Because Lan's behavior can be understood by understanding his mind and where he's coming from. That, the Mad Queen is okay. Oh, she sat down. I cannot believe. I need a phone. I need a phone to film this. Okay, okay, look, the Mad Queen. This is me filming. This is the Mad Queen. So there you go. I love that you have to understand the characters. I saw quite a good number of people that were criticizing how Lan is just, a toxic man. But he's really just a straight dude in a position of power, and he has to keep his image, okay? He can't be perceived as soft man. These things are these things. Power is power. You need to project it, okay? It's not just behavior of men, it's also politics. If the US president walks into an interview wearing flippers, right? Flip-flops, and he's wearing his pajama, and his hair is, okay, Boris Johnson is different, but you get it, right? Yeah, it would project weakness. We have, and then, who throughout this story, first of all, this entire instability, all of this, politics, it gets violent. Okay, it's obvious, it gets violent. And then what ends up happening is that, all of this leaks onto Anden toward the finale, where he has to really do crazy shit. Okay, and this leads Anden to really become disconnected from this, and he doesn't want the violence anymore. So I love that the characters are not just surface level, and that whatever happens to them affects them on a psychological level. Okay, so there you go. I just love the characters in this story. Another beautiful thing about this particular novel that I loved, that I will give it 1 star for. The first one's 1 star, this one is also another star, which is how there is no really assumption that, in order for the story to be entertaining, it has to have action. Because a lot of fantasy assumes that for the story to be entertaining, we need action, 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 but it doesn't have to always be that. And this is a beautiful example. Jade City is the epic fantasy story that, shows you that you don't need action all the time in order to be entertaining. There is a lot of action. It's just that it's a lot of drama, internal conflicts, right, that happen with the characters. To me, in my opinion, it's just the definition of world building, because a lot of world building is sterile world building. It's world building that doesn't have any human elements. Another thing that I really love is a little more detail. I just thought about it a little more, which is the characters. How are the characters good? Because there are a lot of ways the characters can be good. There can be external development, okay, which is the character learns how to do something externally. But you can also have internal development where the character gets rid of a lie or teaches, mostly gets rid of a lie, which is something bad, and they become good, like Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Another thing that is really good is actually lived experience. In this particular story, we don't really have internal development. For most of the characters like Lan and Shay, what we have is actually lived experience. The depiction of lived experience is beautiful here, okay? So it's not necessarily internal development or external development with these two characters, as well as the horn of the Cowl family. I really love that. And another thing that I really want to really give a brief comment is the style, the prose style. It's very, very exquisite. The writing style is just the language used. It's so beautiful. It's just so beautiful. I really honestly could have not asked for a better start to this summer. So yeah, there you go. As a reader for this story, I give it a 5 out of 5. As a critic, I do have to give it a 4.5 out of 5. The primary reason why is because there just are not enough female POV characters in this story. I expected there would be, and I expected, given that this is an epic fantasy, she would take that effort, Rhonda, but she does not. So there you go. That's the primary reason why. I just want to talk about some of my favorite parts. This is a spoiler. So the review is over. So you can actually stop if you haven't read the book. But I love that Lan's wife leaving him for another dude has really negatively impacted his perception of himself. As if, he's now inferior to that other guy. The other men around him are also questioning Lan. So much that, later some assassin duels Lan to force him to prove himself. This also leads to Lan becoming weaker. He does win the duel, but, almost dies. So basically what ends up happening is that, he becomes weaker, and he needs some sort of something called the shine in order to increase his magical stamina for the magical jade. Okay, the jade gives you strength, and it boosts your human abilities. Okay, anyhow, some people might take this offense. It's a lot of male ego, but really that's the point, isn't it? because this is literally depicting male ego. It's something real that real people do, and for a woman to have a great grip on it makes me, just basically proud of how she had to do the research. Okay. She had to understand these things. Another thing is the effect of all this violence on the characters. Shay really doesn't like all of this, Jade business, and then in the end has to help Hilo, I believe, the Horn, fight the Horn of the Ait family, who run the mountain, which is the other clan, right? So basically, this violent experience changes, and then first of all, it shifts the balance of the war to the it rescues the Lan family, okay, Lan's family, because now the mountain don't have a horn, right? Because there's no organization down in the street, okay, and so this allows them to be more effective and have some chance in the war. And this is crucial for Anden, because this experience of fighting this dude, and this whole shtick is so violent that it changes him, it affects him as a person. I really love when lived experiences affects the characters. In this particular case, we have internal development for Anden. Another element I love is how mind games are major players in the conflict between the Ait family and the Kaul family. The Ait try to get Anden to their side to send a message. Later in the story, Doru defects to the Ait, which actually literally shifts the balance of the war, and all of that is because he knew too much. And since Shay had become the weatherman, she had become the weatherman after Lan's death, she wasn't sure to just keep him as a free dude just walking around with all the information he knows, because he's kind of bitter. Anyhow, most authors don't do this stuff. They don't really